You said never let me go.
1, 2, 3.
What's your name?
Diane.
Sammy.
Should you have to break up with your ex's children after the relationship is over?
Now that's a bright idea.
What do you guys think?
I don't think you should have to, but I think it depends on the age of the kids.
Doesn't matter?
It matters. I think if they're kids, then it's their parents' decision. But if they're adults and they want to maintain a relationship, then that's between adults.
I think what Diane said is correct, but I also think it depends on how the relationship ended between the adults. If it was on good terms or bad terms.
Oh, okay.
If it ended on good terms, I think it's fair to maintain a relationship with the kids, but also it depends on the age of the kids. If they're younger, I feel like the attachment is important to maintain that relationship.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids what really happens between them?
I don't think the kids have to know all the details, but I do think that they need to know that like this person is either going to stay in your life or not stay in your life, because if they were a regular caretaker, that could be really dramatic.
I agree.
To just have somebody
That's true.
break up with the kids also.
Absolutely. With no reasoning whatsoever. That, I mean, like, kids take this stuff seriously and will take it onto their adulthood, their entire life, like abandonment issues, all sorts of issues. So it's important to talk to your kids as if they were adults, not necessarily inviting them in on all the details, because it's not going to change anything, but to sit them down and talk with them like adults and let them know, like, hey, we're not getting along, this is ending, so on and so forth.
That makes sense. Alright guys, your IG so they can follow you.
Dadi03, D-A-D-I.
What's your name?
Nina.
Should you have to break up with your ex's children after the relationship is over?
Oh, hell no!
What do you think?
I think it depends on how old they are, but if they're old enough to have a memory of you, like, they deserve to have some closure within the relationship, and I think it's up to, like, discuss with your now ex-partner how you're going to do that. And whether or not you maintain a relationship is up to them ultimately, but if the kids want to and you want to, I don't see any problem with it.
Your ex is making it impossible for you to maintain the relationship you have with the kids. Do you have to keep pushing?
I mean, I think that depends on your relationship. Like, maybe your ex has good reason to not have you see the kids, but maybe it's the other way around. Like, that seems like very much on a case-by-case basis.
They are your kids too, right?
I mean, like, yeah, if you've adopted them, like, either legally or emotionally, yeah, they're your kids too, but they were there first. They were the guardians there first. They were the ones who decided to let you in.
Okay.
And if they decided to take you out of the equation, it's their responsibility to do so in a healthy way for their children, and maybe that includes having you in the children's life still. Maybe it doesn't, but ultimately I think it is up to them.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids what really happens between them?
No.
I think that depends on how old they are and what they're able to understand. I think if kids have questions, you should be able to answer them in a way that doesn't leave them feeling unstable.
The kids will deal with trauma throughout the entire life.
I mean, kids are going to deal with trauma no matter what they go through. It's your job to do your best to prepare them for that and not be the one to cause it yourself as best you can, right? You're there to protect your kids, but like, the world is harsh and cruel. We all die at the end of it. There's no saving us from that. So why are we pretending like we can save our kids from experiencing trauma, or pretending like we're not inflicting it upon them every single day of their lives? Like, no matter how good you do, 20 years later, if your kid can afford a therapist, they're going to be like, you fucked me up in this way, and you'll have to be like, yeah, I hope you can forgive me. Like, I'm just a human too. Okay. And either they do or they don't, and that's their decision, because you've raised a full-grown adult with agency.
All right, your IG so they can follow you.
Nina Talks TV on TikTok.
What's your name?
Annalise.
Ellie.
I think if it's a healthy enough relationship, you can still go see the children. Like, obviously there would have to be an easy breakup with your ex and an understanding that you still want to be part of their life, especially if you made a good impact. But I think if it's like a healthy relationship and you ended on good terms, there's no reason you can't still be there. Especially if you're there for a long time with the kids, because at that point, you're kind of like not their parent, but someone that they've relied on for a while.
I mean, what if your ex is making it impossible for you to still maintain the relationship with the kids?
You gotta respect that.
Yeah, at the end of the day. But also, you should listen to the kids and what they want. If the kids still want them in their life, then you should definitely respect their wishes, especially if they're like a little older.
You so smart. You know everything.
I think so. I think at the end of the day, it still is your ex's kids because you're not, blood related. But I mean, the kids should have a say too. And if they want to see you and the ex is just being difficult, well, that's just a conversation that they have to sort of work out. It's not really your place to get involved in that sort of thing. I think that's just being respectful of their boundaries.
It's tough though. I mean, it's definitely a situation by situation basis.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids what really happens between them?
Come on, man.
Here's the thing. My parents are divorced, and at first I was like really confused why they separated, but being older and understanding that their relationship just didn't work out, it made me have a little bit more peace with the fact. So having conversation and understanding it made the transition easier for me.
Aw, that's sweet.
All in all, transparency and just like open communication is really important no matter what, but that's just kind of a parenting style, you know what I mean? Like some people don't agree with that.
So you think there should be transparency?
I think so. Open communication is like the way to create really awesome, strong relationships, like that's how healthy relationships should be.
I mean, if that happened, don't you think the children could deal with trauma throughout the entire life?
Oh yeah. That becomes like a piece of them, that they have to deal with. But I mean, my parents stayed together for the kids and it wasn't good for them. So sometimes the adults have to do what they have to do and the kids are just going to have to learn that there's a reason for those things to happen.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you're a kid, you don't realize that like your parents are humans too. Like they make mistakes, they're living their own lives, and you don't want to live your whole life unhappy with someone just because you got married to them.
That's a great point.
People should split if they're not happy together.
Your IG so they can follow you?
Annelise Cernich, ANNELISE SERNICH.
And Ellie May 1, ELLEMAY 1.
A few moments later.
What's your name?
Manita. I would not keep the relationship with the children because I myself at the age where we have to hustle and like it doesn't really matter who the person you date comes with anything. Like you just don't have to. You should be able to not have any relationship with any of them.
With the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you have a significant role in the child's life?
It depends. It also depends on your ability. Like if it's okay for you to afford something, if it's like a small problem, then sure, go for it. But if it's if the things that you want to help them really affect your life, you shouldn't worry about it. So it really depends.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids what really happens between them?
Oh, this is tricky.
I know.
Not necessarily. Well, if the children is 7 years old or like 13 and you think that they're mature enough to deal with it, then go for it. It also depends how you want to raise the kids as well.
Alright, your IG so they can follow you?
Nita.Manita.
What's your name?
Morgan. I think that it depends on the relationship that you have with the kids, but if you have a good relationship with the kids, I think that you should maintain that relationship because as a kid, depending on whatever age, if they have someone that they can love and trust in and confide in, you shouldn't have to stop that if you believe that you can still be that for them. Because at that age, it's everything. And I think that's really special.
So what if your ex makes it impossible for you to still maintain this good relationship with them? Do you have to keep pushing?
I think it depends on the situation, but if you really believe that you can make a difference in the kids' lives, then I think you should. But at the end of the day, it is his children, so I think that you should also respect his boundaries. And yeah.
You smart.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids why they are normal?
I think so. I think they deserve to know.
You think they should?
Yeah, I think they deserve to know.
Why do you think so?
Because, I mean, you don't have to go to like into the full extent, maybe, but I think, I mean, when you're a kid, you want to know why, you know? And I think that they need that because otherwise they won't understand, and they need that like little piece to understand at least part of it.
Don't you think they could deal with trauma throughout their entire life?
Because they know?
Yeah, because they know. You know, as kids?
Yeah. if you're there for them, if you're supportive throughout the rest of their childhood, and you give them the resources to work through that and figure out what that means for them, I think that's the best thing that you can do as the parents.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Your IG so they can follow you.
Ansley Dotson _
What's your name?
Marley.
Laura.
I would say like if your ex-partner is somebody that like you shouldn't be associating with because of like they're either just like a terrible person or because of like the reasons that you broke up were kind of like they were dangerous or something like that, then I would say like yeah, I'd kind of want to just be like distancing myself as much as possible.
Dang!
If you like broke up on your own terms and they're still like, you know, kind of just like you weren't in it for each other, then I'd say like yeah, it's okay to see their children because like they didn't really do anything wrong. It's just like you're not for each other anymore, but you may have a strong bond with their children.
I mean, what if your husband is making it impossible for you to still maintain the relationship with the kids? Do you have to keep pushing?
I guess it really depends on how strong your bond is with the kids, because like at that point, I don't know if I would keep pushing.
I think that's a hard one because I think that it's maybe not really your right. You know, if your ex has made that decision and that's their children, then, you know, as close as you are, you kind of have to respect that.
Do you think the parents should explain to the kids what really happens between them?
I think that you should be honest, but there's not, you know, there's a limit to what you want to share with your kids. You know, they don't need to know everything. But yeah, you can let them know, you know, that just kind of like what you said, we're not meant for each other.
Okay.
We've decided to end the relationship. It has nothing to do with you guys. And then, yeah, I guess it really depends on, because it could get complicated down the road, you know, with future partners, and they may not like, you know, all of that entanglement. It's a hard question.
I agree.
Usually eventually, like, as they get older, they probably will find out. So, I mean, I feel like it's best if they're not like toddlers or something, like I feel like it is best to be as honest as it's safe to be at the time, because, you know, it might just be uglier down the road if they find out like that you were lying to them and that all this has happened without them knowing. I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you guys. All right, guys, we're done, guys.
Okay, bye.